everybody, welcome back. Sara.
How's it going, everyone? So what we're going to do today, this is going to be kind of a mishmash video of a few...
Mishmash.
Yeah, of a
Mishmash.
few... Mishmash.
Mishmash.
It's going to be a kind of like a group of stories. So like always, timestamps down below because we're going to hit a few different points in this video. So look out for those because we're going to start one place, we're going to end up another, if you know what I'm saying. But this first thing we're going to talk about is, it's kind of 2-in-1. As everyone knows, the men's World Cup is happening right now, you know, and
I didn't notice.
Well, and I kind of wanted to talk about it for two reasons, because Sara and I made a concerted effort we haven't really brought it up for a lot of reasons. So, but I will be completely honest. This is the complete honesty. Sara has not watched 1 minute of one game.
Because not even 1 second.
Yes. But I have. And I think I watched the men's.
So we split up.
Yeah. I've watched all 3 of the men's games. And I watched it. And Sara does not watch. She does not participate. But I'm bringing this up because I think that's happening for a lot of people, especially people who don't want to support the World Cup being where it is, and don't want to support it in general. And not just because there was so much corruption of why it ended up in Qatar. There's just so much corruption above and beyond even just them and not being supportive of LGBT. A lot of corruption. Okay. But I think a lot of households probably are like you and I, Sara, where one person is kind of watching it, maybe, and the other people maybe are protesting. Because I have seen people, and I guess maybe that's a question for our audience. Is there anyone in your household watching and you are not, or vice versa? So, but the reason why we're bringing it up today actually is something kind of, I think it's good. I think most people think it's good, but it's, of course, the haters are coming out. And but long story short is the U.S. men's national team has been playing. They have been doing pretty well. I mean, they've been doing pretty well, and they actually have gotten out of the group stage. So they're going on. But part of that storyline is now with the new CBA for the women, and I guess the men, but for the women specifically, now that the men have won, that means it's going to be, the women are going to benefit financially from that. So I'm going to have Sara read the headline.
U.S. women's national team to earn more money with U.S. men's national teams win over Iran than in last 2 women's World Cup titles combined.
I mean, that's just a striking headline right there. It says the U.S. women's national team and the U.S. men's national team will split the World Cup prize pools evenly under the new collective bargaining agreement.
With the U.S. men's national team's 1-0 win over Iran on Tuesday afternoon, the team advanced to the knockout stage and earned a payout of at least $13 million, and it will have the opportunity to earn more by continuing to advance. Under the new CBA signed by U.S. Soccer, the men's national team, and the U.S. women's national team, the prize money from the World Cups is pooled together and split evenly between the teams. That means that U.S. women's national team officially already earned more prize money from this World Cup than from winning the last 2 women's World Cups combined. In 2015, the U.S. women's national team earned $2 million for winning the World Cup, which had a total prize pool of $15 million. 4 years later, the U.S. women's national team won the 2019 World Cup and received $4 million of the $30 million prize pool. To put that into context, the total prize money for the 2022 World Cup has been set at $440 million, wow, with the winner getting $42 million. The U.S. men's national team will be guaranteed to take home at least $13 million at this stage, which means that the U.S. women's national team will get $6.5 million before U.S. soccer gets its 10% cut, which is more than it received for winning the last 2 World Cups combined.
Okay, so, I mean, that's very significant amount of money for the men and the women, and the women get, like I said, it pulls the money, whether it's the women's tournament or the men's tournament. They each get half, and that means they can both benefit. And, you know, obviously people who are fans of women's sports like Sara and I, and most people who watch this channel, you'd say, well, that's awesome. But I've seen a lot of discourse online saying, hey, this isn't fair. We don't like this. Sara and I just watched a clip of, there's an anchor here in America, Don Lemon. He's giving the argument, says, no, the women's sports, this doesn't seem fair because women's sports don't bring in as much money. Men's sports make more money, so how is that fair? And then his co-anchors were basically saying a huge reason why they don't make as much money is because the media doesn't promote women's sports. Advertisers don't get behind women's sports. There isn't that big tradition of getting behind women's sports to make it profitable, because they found once media and once advertisers get involved, they actually make more money because they're more invested in. Then Don Lemon comes back, and this is not just Don Lemon. This is a lot of people I see online, but we just happen to see this clip. Then Don Lemon says, well, it's because more people are interested in men's sports. And I think that's the misnomer.
Maybe that's because society's programmed you.
Yes.
Hi, only men exist in this world, and women, hi, we're new here.
Right. Because I think a lot of people say, well, of course men's sports make more money because more people just like it. Because they're better. Men's sports are just better. They're better, better athletes. They're stronger. I mean, this is the argument. They're stronger. They're faster. You know, that's the argument. You're going to, of course, watch the people who are perceived to be better, quote unquote. Co-anchors on the talking on this news program, you know, they were pretty heated. They said the reason why they don't make as much money is because advertisers aren't behind them. And then I always go back in my mind about women's tennis. Women's tennis, if you were to look at the ratings they get for their Wimbledon or their US Open or their Grand Slams, it's on par with men's. But no one would say in the last 20 years that people only care about men's tennis. If you look at ratings for tennis, they're a lot of times higher than the men's for the women's tennis. You know, we respect women's tennis. Is that just because I think one of the reasons is because media respects women's tennis. So that means we respect women's tennis. I mean, everyone knows about Billie Jean King. Everyone knows about Martina Navratilova. Everyone knows about Serena Williams. You know what I mean? And I think we look at tennis because it's almost like it's acceptable to say, oh, women's tennis is as enjoyable as men's tennis. Just because society tells us it's as enjoyable. For some reason, society is not telling us, the media is not telling us that women's football is as enjoyable as men's. I mean, who out there likes women's tennis? And I do give a lot of credit to Serena Williams being so massive the last 20 years. Yeah, but she did a lot. But like I said, everyone knows Chrissy Everett. You know what I mean? So everyone knows Steffi Graf. Everyone knows these women's tennis players. So I always look at tennis to look at, hey, we respect women's tennis players. Why can't we respect women's footballers like we do tennis? So, I mean, my first question is, what does everyone think? I think most people in our audience will say this is good for women's, the CBA, equal pay. You know, it's a pool. What we make, we'll give to you. What you make, give to us. I think it is good. I think it's a positive. And people like Don Lemon, or people in the comment section I saw on some of the Instagram posts, like Just Women's Sports, they have people, they keep saying not fair, not fair, not fair. I'm not one of those people. Sarah's not one of those people. I think you really have to evaluate, like those anchors did, why people perceive it not to be fair. So what does everyone think? I think it's awesome. I'm excited. You know, I don't support necessarily the World Cup being and what's happening with the World Cup, but I support individually these men playing. I do support the men, just like I support the women. You know, organizationally wise, you know, FIFA is corrupt, but what isn't corrupt these days?
True that, sister.
Okay, so kind of going along with that, there's not going to be a good there's not a good transition to this, but it kind of all fits together. In the last couple weeks, Leah Williamson actually was honored at the GQ Men of the Year Awards, and she was actually on the cover of the GQ. I'm going to show the picture, looking
incredible,
smashing.
Love that outfit.
And she also was on the red carpet. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Leah look that good. I'm going to be honest. I think that was one of my favorite looks I've ever seen her on a red carpet. The lace, the trousers,
very chic.
So chic. Her makeup looks especially good. Hair and makeup.
Love the hair, yeah. Love it all.
And she was there with Alex Scott, you can see here. And Alex Scott was presenting her with the award, a Man of the Year award. I'm actually not exactly sure what the award, they just have their annual awards. But there was a cute interview with Amelia Dingleberg, Leah and her. They were supposed to go on a date, but Leah got a concussion.
Classic. Always trying to get out of a date with a concussion.
Yeah, but
I've used that one before.
Right. But super cute. She was saying how she can't really ride a bike. Amelia's like, oh, you're making me feel a little better about myself, because but it's super cute interaction they had. Leah looks amazing there. Okay. Leah in this article, I guess part of the being on the cover, she was in the article and she was kind of talking about, what happened to the English ladies over the summer, about 80,000 people being at Wembley, about the whole country really embracing the women winning the Euros, about actually getting recognition for being footballers.
The recognition of women's football over the past year has been long overdue, with Williamson and her teammates inspiring the next generation of young women in football and beyond. Taking the microphone last night, Williams said, "When I stand in front of you all, I represent a group of people who have been overlooked for such a long time, and the injustice hurts me every day, and it's what inspires me every day." Damn, so those are some words. In her recent GQ cover interview, Williams spoke at length about what she had overcome and what her successes meant beyond the sport. "I've got loads of inspirational people I've always looked up to, really strong women who don't necessarily play football." Adding, "I didn't want to be them and I didn't want to do what they did, but they still inspired me to be." And I think that's what's the point. That little girl doesn't have to be a footballer. She just has to grow up knowing that she can do what she wants. We're doing something that still feels like we shouldn't, almost until this summer. The Lionesses' monumental win this summer closed the door on any suggestion that women's football doesn't deserve the same hype, attention, or financial reward as the men's game. "I'm a prove it to deserve it person," Williams said. "I'm logical and realistic about things that need to be invested in before you see the fruit. The power is now with us when we ask for things. I'm going in with proof."
And I think that tie-in between them, people saying women's football doesn't deserve the same amount of money and recognition, and then Leah Williamson saying right here, saying, "Over the summer, did you see what we did? We won 80,000 people, the ratings on the TV, everything shows that people want, if you invest in women's football, the reward is there. People are as invested as men's football if you give them the opportunity to have the investment there." Right. So, I mean, that was awesome by Leah Williamson to say that, because it's so true. And it's going to be there, one day, I truly believe. And, Leah also did talk about not supporting the World Cup as well. I mean, that's kind of a loose tie-in with Leah Williamson.
England captain Leah Williamson, "I have no interest in Qatar World Cup." Same.
Yeah.
Same. It's a shame that we're heading into what should be the greatest show on earth with this huge shadow over the top of it. I'm disappointed, and I think it's a shame, as growing up watching the World Cup was one of the greatest things that brought everybody together. Williamson stated that she would still support her male counterparts, but that she no longer feels an interest in the tournament. "I think there are times when it will be appropriate to make sure that this doesn't happen again and be a force for a change," Williams said. "I'll support the boys, but I haven't got any interest in it as a fan really this year, which is sad."
Yeah, so that's kind of a loose time from what we were talking about before. So it's kind of, this whole video is kind of intertangled. Leah Williamson basically is saying, we can do it. And we've done it for women, not just in the UK, not just for America, just all women can be as popular and as money making as the men. And then Leah also says, just like we were talking before, I'm not supporting something that is so
Just goes against so many people's morals.
Yeah.
And just alienating a big percentage of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, those two things, are loosely combined with women's sports and also with what's happening over at the World Cup. It's one big story that really is going on. And also, I was telling Sara this, I mean, people don't want to give women footballers credit. And this is another kind of a loose tie-in. Jill Scott was participating in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And Sara and I have not really ever watched the show. They've done it a few times in America, but it's huge in the UK. It's huge.
Oh, yeah. I've heard plenty about it.
It's huge there. And Jill Scott, footballer,
Queen of the Jungle.
Queen of the Jungle.
Hell yeah.
She won. And obviously, you win based on votes. So if you go in there and people don't like you as a person, they're going to vote you out. But I think going in there, Jill had so many fans to begin with, as well as getting new fans based on her personality.
Yeah, who doesn't love Jill Scott?
Exactly. So
Ledge.
She already had those built-in fans, and then she just won new fans. So it just goes to show, you put a woman footballer in there. I don't know if she's been the first. I guess she's kind of active because she just retired, and she won. That's it. You put her in, she wins.
Nice.
So I thought that was amazing too. So what does everyone think about those two stories? Obviously, they're kind of combined. They're kind of not. about women, U.S. women's national team getting the equal pay. Some people thinking it's not fair. Some people knowing, no, it is fair. Are you in your household, are you watching the World Cup and maybe your partner isn't, or is your dad and your aunt? I mean, is that something that's going on in your household as well? Because I know in our household, I'm watching it, Sarah's not, and it's like I feel guilty, but not. You know what I mean? You don't want me to feel guilty, but
I think I do. Actually, I think I do.
And also, Jill Scott being Queen of the Jungle, I mean, it just shows you put a footballer in there, a woman footballer in there. People love what they represent.
Yeah.
You know?
Love it.
And also, I know this is a side, but Leah Williamson looked fabulous at the GQ Awards.
Yeah.
What does everyone think? What does everyone think? Questions, comments down below. Hopefully you got through this video in regards to we zigzagged. Today is December 1st, so only 25 more days until Christmas, only 20 days until Sarah's birthday.
So I was hoping for that shout out. What?
30 days until 2023. Who would have guessed it? So
Oh,
I know.
No, that's coming too fast.
It is, but
Scary.
it happens every year. It happens to the best of us every year. Questions, comments down below. We'll talk to everyone later. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.